Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are musician Donto James and artist Shepard Fairey. Musician Donto James was born and raised in Los Angeles. He graduated from Reseda High School and attended Grambling State University in Louisiana, the Eubanks School in Los Angeles. What kind of school was that, Eubanks?
Well, it was a musical school.
It was a musical school. And then the Musicians Institute of Technology in Hollywood. I think that's where you really learned a lot, didn't you?
Yeah, I furthered my reading and stuff from there.
Did you know music before you went there?
Well, I got most of my musical abilities came from what they say, osmosis.
I was going to say, you
osmosis,
must have wanted to be a musician because you had no choice.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But you learned how to read music at the Institute.
Yeah, the Institute. My mother put me in there because I was always playing drums as a small child, and but she felt that I needed to further that instead of just playing by ear. I needed to learn more of the reading and.
And did you learn that there?
Yeah.
And was it helpful?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Did your mother tell us who your mother was? Because we haven't gone into your professional family background yet.
My mother was Etta James.
And you had no choice, right? To be a singer, a drummer. Are you singing now?
Yeah. I played drums for her for many years. But now, my mother always wanted me to further that. She wanted me to sing. But I was always shy. I was too shy because, I couldn't find myself singing in front of my mother like that. Her voice, I was too embarrassed. And but she wanted me to sing, and that was her main thing,
You talk about being embarrassed, but you were with a living legend. Did you realize that as a child?
Well, not as a child. It took a while before I figured that one out. But yeah.
And you also, when you were at the workshop, you learned how to be an engineer, right. How to produce records.
Right.
Was that part of? Did you know how to do that before?
Yeah, I had a lot of equipment in my room because I stayed with my mother for many years before I actually moved out. I'm just going to be real with everybody. I stayed with my mother until I was 27 years old.
Yay! We can't get rid of our kids, can we?
I'm a mother's boy, but so I had a lot of equipment just stacked up. I had to walk out of my room sideways just to go to the bathroom. So so I worked with smaller equipment, but my mother wanted to. We figured out that it's cheaper to record at home if you can build a building or have a studio. Times have changed.
Where was that home?
It's in Riverside.
Oh, it was. So did you have a lot of space, or did you have extra rooms for your studio? Because there were a lot of home studios at one time.
Right. She actually got it built.
Oh,
yeah, she actually
did.
got it built, for cheap, But it actually really worked out well. It's still there today, and it still has the equipment in there, and we've done a lot of stuff out of there.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
What I was going to ask you about is you learned drumming also at the Institute, but you were already a drummer. You learned how to read music. What is that word, Pro Tools?
Oh, Pro Tools, yeah.
What is that?
That's a program that is worldwide known all over the place, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful media to record on. Before they had before that they had the board stretched out from one end of the room to the other, and but they started using Pro Tools, yeah, because this is a computer and you have unlimited tracks and unlimited capabilities.
So
And
did you have a board in Riverside?
Yeah.
Like a board? I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I started
yeah,
off
yeah.
with a board.
I
Yeah.
see. I see. And then you started using that. You used Pro Tools to produce Matriarch. Did you? Of
Right.
the Matriarch of the Blues.
Yes, that's
Tell us
right.
about that album.
Oh, Matriarch. What happened was that they didn't. My mother wasn't quite sold on the idea of me recording her on computer because it's a computer screen, up there. That's all
Yeah.
they see, and but once she said, "You go to school for this, and you do it, and you learn it, and then I'll think about investing in it." And so I went to school and graduated, and then she went and got the Pro Tools. And I set them up immediately, and I had to wing it, I mean, I went to school, but it was only a year program. They didn't offer a long program for that, So once we played the first song, and I played it back for her, everybody was just like, wow, this doesn't even sound like it's done on the computer. I mean, we're looking at a screen, but this sounds great. I was told that I was one of the first young people that ever recorded a blues album on that system.
Did she have a band in that?
Yes. Yeah,
During that, did you play in the band as well as?
Yeah, I was the drummer.
You
Yeah,
did drum.
Yeah.
And were you singing with her yet?
Not at that time. Now that it was a little early. Yeah.
And I think in one of the studios that you were in, you were talking about different people coming in and using the studios, and Rod Stewart happened to come in. Where was that?
Oh, that was in Record One. The studio's called Record One. It's in Hollywood, and actually that's what got me sold on the whole Pro Tool thing, because they were just using it to fix certain things at the time.
Oh, it was before you really got into it. Oh, that's
and
good.
Rod Stewart was in the room. They were playing his music through it, and they were doing some stuff, and I was just mesmerized by that computer. So I ended up, that's where I started with the system.
Did he like using that? Did he use it?
Yeah, he started, they were going to fix some things in the tracks. You can move things around and all this stuff, and even tune vocals and stuff. He doesn't need any tuning. But, but after a while, he was hearing it, and I heard him in the break room, and he said, "This sounds great. We need to finish my album on this."
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
So then he's changed midway.
Yeah, I believe
And then you went into using it, right?
Right.
I see. When you were playing in your mother's band, there was a band on Matriarch of the Blues. Great name, isn't it? Matriarch of the Blues.
Yeah. That's right.
What was a great song? What was the song from that? That was great.
Well, one of the songs on that was we redid the Rolling Stones version of "Miss You." She used to record that back in the 70s and 80s. She used to perform it, and we just put a different twist on it. And that's, amongst a lot more tunes, but it came out great. Yeah, "Miss You" from the Rolling Stones. And now everybody's doing it the version that we did, which was a shuffle version. They played straight four, but this was, and it sounded great.
And she could just adapt to anything.
Yeah, she sure could. She's the one who suggested it.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
So she was pretty far ahead. Even though she had her own style, she was anxious to be forward thinking.
Right. Yeah, she sure was. Yeah.
You played in your mother's band, and now you have a band, Etta James Band, Sons of Etta James. What is it called?
Well, Sons of Etta. Yeah, that's
Sons of Etta.
That's one.
And where do you play?
Well, we're playing. We're going to be playing. We played at a few different venues: Harvell's in Long Beach, and in Santa Monica. Starting off really small right now, but we're going to be playing the Central Avenue Jazz Festival.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. That's in on Central Avenue.
Yeah, on Central Avenue, 47th.
Is that right?
Yeah, and Central Avenue is.
And what do they do? Close off the street?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, my mother used to perform there many years ago. Yeah, I never got the chance to play there.
So this will be a first time for you.
For me, yeah.
And what other venues like this, like the ones in Long Beach and Santa Monica, do you really like to play? You have a favorite?
Oh, well, I mean, if we're going out of state, I mean, New Orleans I love it. I love the heritage. I love the people, and the jazz festival. You know, it's really a fun place.
Is that
to play.
jazz festival very similar to the LA? It's the 17th annual Central Avenue Jazz Festival. Are they similar? Do they do the same kind of things?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, have multiple acts.
And then, and this is a tribute to your mom.
Yeah.
This one that you'll be playing in.
Yes.
And how many people are in your band?
I believe we have 8 at this point. Well, it's going to be Thelma Jones, she's a legend, a great singer.
She's going to sing with your band?
Yeah, she's been singing. She's a featured artist. Thelma Jones and Jimmy Z, which played with us.
Yes,
Yeah.
Jimmy Z he's a conductor too, isn't
Yes.
he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great harmonica player, and he does it all. He does it all.
Oh, so that'll be fantastic. You're considered a sideman, is that right?
Well, I was considered a sideman.
Tell us what that is.
Well, a sideman is just it's a musician that gets hired, when needed. And, just play their instrument, hover over it, and get paid at the end of the night.
But can you transfer from that into being a solo artist?
Well, I guess the answer would be is I'm going to change into it.
You have to change into it, or you want to change?
I want to. Yeah.
Do you take singing lessons?
Yeah, well, I'm taking it from my father right now.
Really?
Yeah, and there's some talk about a few other coaches, but most of it I've gotten a lot of soul from my mother. The soul part of it, I can sing, it's hard, her phrasing and stuff. A lot of people can't get that. They can sing at last, and they do a great job.
Oh, how do they do it? How do you start it?
I'm not going to sing, but no, you got to come to the jazz festival.
How did you choose? So you're going to sing that?
No, I'm going to leave that up to Thelma.
Oh, you leave that up to Thelma.
On this time.
Thelma will do that. Well, how do you select the songs that you're going to play? You're going to be on for an hour at the festival, right?
Yeah. Jimmy Z is the band leader, and he has he's going to select most of the tunes, and I have mine. And one of the songs I'm going to do is a song by Johnny Guitar Watson. And my mother loved him. I mean, he could play every instrument, sing, and I mean, phenomenal. And so I'm going to do a song by him. It's going to be really exciting. I'm going to do my mother's song. She had Tell Mama, but I'm going to make it Tell Daddy. And because it was originally wrote by a man. Clarence Carter actually wrote it. It was Tell Daddy, so she changed it and made it,
She made it her own.
Yeah. So, but it's going to remain the same, and I'm just going to shock the crowd like she does, like she did for many years.
Well, Donto, that's so exciting that you have that passion.
Yeah.
It's really important, isn't it, to carry on that name, too?
Yes, it is. I desperately just want to make her proud and just... I know she's looking at me from up above and
guiding you.
Yeah.
She won a lot of awards, and we knew a lot about her, but there must be something that we didn't know about her.
What area would you like to go into?
Anything.
Well, my mother was actually, when she'd go on stage, she'd do certain things, and people would go, did she do that?
You mean just as she got on stage?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she wouldn't care who she would be performing before. It could be the president or the queen. But she would do all this, whatever she'd do.
What did she do?
Well, she would break the ice by bumping and grinding. I mean, she would get over the piano and turn her back to the audience and shake it and then look back and stick her tongue out. But it would just open up. Everybody would start laughing, and all of a sudden, it was just a flow of good energy in the place. And but she was actually, as far as the question that you asked me, she was actually shy, though. People didn't know that. I mean, that was her other personality. She was really shy.
So at home, she had that shyness?
No. No, she was shy around certain people, and but she would give that persona of a strong woman. She'd always she was a strong woman. So the way she was brought up and what she had to go through in life. You know, she felt she had to protect herself sometimes. So that's what she came off like a strong woman. She was, but there was other side to her, you know, and that was very timid and very shy and
we love
bashful.
all this insight that you've given us, Donto. Thank you so much for coming up
thank you.
for our show.
Thank you.
And good luck. I want to
you.
hear you singing soon.
Okay, you will.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody come out.
Okay, to the Jazz Festival on Central Avenue. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And don't go away. We'll be right back with Shepard Fairey. And we're next to the building where he did this big mural in West Hollywood. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with artist, muralist, graphic designer, and disc jockey, Shepard Fairey, who was born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina. He earned his Bachelor of Fine Arts at the Rhode Island School of Design in Providence and began a career in art in 1989. Since then, his work has been exhibited in galleries and museums around the world and is in the permanent collection of the National Portrait Gallery, MoMA, the Victoria and Albert in London, the ICA in Boston, where I saw that fantastic show. I was so excited because all I'd seen of your work, Shepard, was Hope, Obama,
right.
Omar the Giant. I had never seen an actual exhibition of work. And I was so blown away walking from gallery to gallery. What was that a compilation of?
That was pretty much the greatest hits from the first
The greatest hits.
the first 20 years of my art career, and a lot of my work ends up on the street, and it's about
Right.
it's about sharing the work outside of galleries and museums. But a lot of people don't realize the volume of work I create. So what was so great about that show was to collect all of it and show the evolution and the thread. A lot of my work is designed to relate to other pieces, previous pieces, and so I think it helped a lot of people put the story of what I do together.
You obviously wanted to be an artist because you went to RISD. Did you start in
Yes.
high school?
I started drawing when I was a little kid, but I think I got really serious about it in middle school, and I was doing very traditional drawing and painting. Like you said, I grew up in South Carolina.
South, yeah.
And I was painting seascapes and architectural pieces and still lives. But then when I got into skateboarding and punk rock when I was 14, that was when I got into making homemade T-shirts and stencils. And my work started to take on a little bit of a rebellious tone.
So as a teenager, you really started, and you started becoming very entrepreneurial.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, making T-shirts where they were probably just for yourself. Do you paint your skateboards too?
yeah, I did. I made stencils for the ramps and the skateboards, and you're right. I was very modestly entrepreneurial. I would buy an undershirt pack of 3 shirts, make one for me, and then make 2 extras to sell to friends for $5. But the idea of I did all this work, I might as well try to get something else out of it than just the one for me that took 20 hours.
When you applied to RISD, did you have to show them the T-shirts you'd made? Was that part of the portfolio?
Well, I did show them some of my more graphic design oriented pieces and some screen prints, but I was doing photography and drawing and painting. And luckily, I did a couple summer programs at the North Carolina School of the Arts and a year of art high school in Idlewild, at the Idlewild School of Music
I
and the
know
Arts.
you did work at Idlewild, but how did that help you?
Well, it really helped me because the teachers were diverse in their disciplines, and they were sort of progressive hippie types who really liked the idea of art being challenging and it being true to your passion and not something that was about the past, but about the future. And they said, if it feels right to you, it feels like the statement you want to make, go for it.
You obviously in South Carolina had to to be involved in some kind of like conservative art programs.
Yeah, I was, and I think that the learning, how to draw the figure and
Did you
render.
do that?
Yeah, I think that's all very important, but it's supplying you with the skills that later you'll learn how to evolve into something that's unique to you. That's like I said about the future.
Well, I think that's really true because Diebenkorn started like that, figurative paintings, and then ended up like totally abstract.
Right.
And I think when you see that, you can see the beginnings of the first parts of the art, established artist, even though it blends into a kind of abstract feeling.
Right.
Do you see any of that in your work?
Well, I think that even a lot of my older works, I think that people wouldn't know from college and things like that. I was still had one foot in the traditional.
Yeah.
But the way that I'm even though I like to agitate, I'm a bit of a romantic. So when I render faces and do things, I think I can't help but want to idealize in the same way that someone would want to create a beautiful painting, a portrait in oil paint. When I'm illustrating in a more graphic way, I'm still trying to find the most beautiful way light can hit a surface and turn into a crisp shape rather than a shaded shape.
I could see that. I saw that when I went in Boston because the women were beautiful. You had that sense of making them beautiful in a serene way. I had so many different feelings. And how long ago was that?
3.5 years ago.
Yeah, it was long ago, and I still remember the experience. I think that's why people should go to museums and look at street art, because the great thing, we're in the West Hollywood studio right now, and right next door on the parking structure is a huge Shepard Fairey elephant, stars. I mean, it's so beautiful, and you can see it from all over the city. When I drive down Melrose, I can see it every morning.
Yeah, getting to do that was really amazing. And that sort of happened because, well, for two reasons. I was asked to do a permanent piece inside the library.
I remember that.
And that went through a lot of red tape. But meanwhile, MoCA was doing the Art in the Street show that I was part of, and they wanted to find spaces to do large outdoor works, but ironically in LA right now there's a moratorium on murals and outdoor advertising, and so it was very difficult for them to find spaces that people would give. And the West Hollywood Library said, well, we'll give the side of our parking garage. So I did a 106-foot by 70-foot mural of a peace elephant, and when I was studying what the core values are of West Hollywood, it was creativity, peace, tolerance, and so I thought, well, I'm going to do this peace elephant as the image because it works with the ideology of West Hollywood.
Well, it's only fitting that you're here in our studios because it's so fabulous. When you came out of RISD, you did this. Or you did it there?
I did it while I was in art school, yeah.
Which
after
is
my freshman year.
Who is it?
It's Andre the Giant.
Andre, and how did Andre come? He was.
Well, it was. It happened very spontaneously. I was making a bunch of homemade T-shirts, and I wanted to teach a friend how to make a stencil, and he said, "Well, yeah, teach me. What should I make?" And I just looked through the newspaper for something for him to practice on, and there was an ad for wrestling. And I said, why don't you make it of Andre the Giant? He said, no way, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. And I said, what are you talking about? Andre the Giant's posse is taking over. That's the next big thing. And so as an inside joke with him, I made a sticker that said Andre the Giant has a posse with his height and weight. Posse was a word that was big in hip-hop slang.
It's a cool word.
Yeah. So the Beastie Boys were singing it, and Public Enemy and all these people who I was listening to. And what happened was I started giving the stickers to some friends and putting them on some stop signs, and the next thing you know, it became an underground phenomenon. And I thought, this is fascinating, that the psychology of images in public space something that I'd never really considered deeply, and I started to think about how most of public space is controlled by government signage and advertising, and there's really not much more than that. So I evolved that campaign into the Obey Giant campaign and turned Andre into more of a benevolent big brother.
Big Andre.
Yeah.
When you started doing street art, let's call it street art, did you hang out with Keith Haring and Fab Freddy and Kenny Scharf? Did you work like they did?
Yeah, I worked like they did, but I didn't meet any of them until later. And Haring, I wasn't able to meet while he was alive, but he was a big inspiration.
Because we, of course, knew that all from Andy, from Warhol, and knew all of those people in New York. You were just still in school.
Yeah,
I
I was too young, and I met. I'm friends with Kenny and with Fab Five and Futura and a lot of those guys who. Zephyr, who were doing great stuff and worked with The Clash, which is one of my favorite bands. But really, at the time that I started, I was living in Providence, but I wasn't that familiar with the graffiti scene in New York. I mean, I just very, very, in a very superficial way. And then I started going to New York and becoming more and more inspired, and that was when my work started to get bigger and more ambitious about my placements. But not until
placements on walls.
Yeah, big walls and climbing up on buildings.
Were you scared climbing up on those buildings?
No, it was more of a thrill. I think the freedom and the mischief and even when you're in art school, everyone's telling you the rules, and when you drive around, they tell you where you can park, and your parents say it's a terrible career choice. The liberation of just going out and doing my street art, I think it was very therapeutic.
It was, and now you're putting it in books.
Yeah, I'm going backwards.
And
I'm part of the establishment now.
Yeah, they're saying it's okay for you to put it on a building, right? It's okay.
Right.
It's okay. Do you ever collaborate with anyone?
Yeah, I just did a collaboration with Jamie Reed, who did all the art for the Sex Pistols, the God Save the Queen, and Nevermind the Bollocks. There's the Sex Pistols and all those graphics, and his stuff was an inspiration for me. So he supports Occupy and the idea that big business has too much influence over government. So we did some collaborations around that. But I've collaborated with Raymond Pettibone. I've collaborated with a lot of people over the years. I find that really fun and challenging. I recently did a show collaborating with Neil Young. He asked me to make paintings based on his songs, and we went back and forth about what the best solution was.
And that great movie about Neil Young's journey.
Yeah, the Jonathan Demme piece
has
just come out. I haven't seen it yet.
Right.
But Neil is a great artist, and so I was really honored to get to work with him.
As was the Hope and the Obama. This is Occupy, right?
Yeah,
This is Occupy.
And the Obama image was really about me saying, I endorse Obama. I believe that he's got great ideas, that he's going to transform political culture, that he's going to progress
all the good things.
Yeah, our politics, and not all of that happened, but I see engaging the system as an important thing, and I think engaging the people who are outsider activists as an important thing. So some people saw this as a critique of Obama. It was saying that, well, in the way that I saw Obama as potentially a hope for transformation within the system, I see the Occupy movement as hope for transformation outside of the system.
Oh, that's a fabulous way to end our interview. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
thank you so much, Shepard Fairey, and thank you for watching today. Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles, 90017. See you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.